Okay, I'm just taking a neat so you can see me in shot. Just this lens zooms in quite a lot, so I need to be in shot. But it's better lens, hopefully it looks a bit better. We're just going to talk through sumo deadlift, specifically one cue or one point of detail around how people set their back. So when people set their back, we kind of covered this in the conventional deadlift video I did a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about how to simplify the bracing process in deadlift or something along those lines. We're just going to talk around the same cues, the same ideas, but around the sumo deadlift. So people think, for some reason, when you sumo deadlift, just because your legs go outside of your hands, that all of a sudden it becomes a squat with a weight in your hands. Now, the main advantages to the sumo deadlift is because the wider stance allows the hips to be closer relative to the bar. It allows you to adopt a more compact or upright posture, but it's not to the point where we're literally doing a belt squat. The weight is still in our hands. Our hands are still anchored to our shoulders, which means there's still axial loading or shearing loading on the spine. That means there's going to be some lean in the torso. And I think people kind of underestimate that amount of lean that's required. The other thing is, with brace, a good position isn't a hyperlordotic position. A good position is a neutral or small curvature of the lower back, your natural lordotic arch, and an upward curvature of the thoracic spine, which is the position that your spine wants to be in. It's how the column is designed, and it's how it wants to operate. So a lot of people you'll see, and I was guilty of this up until probably a year ago, they try and extend fuck at the lower back, thinking, oh, I need to get my lower back in, that's a good back shape. But all you're doing is you're just going from what is a fairly strong position, you're taking the column and you're pushing the column in. And that means most of the pressure is going through the middle of your spine, where your lumbar and your thoracic spine meet. And you'll feel a real sharp tightness in your back when you do that. All that does is it kills the linkage between your legs, your knees, your hips, pushing into the floor, and what's holding onto the bar, which is your hands. To have a good deadlift, we need to keep that linkage strong so we actually get transference into the thing we're trying to lift. So, enough talking. Let's just talk through it. So it's pretty straightforward. So, a lot of people will have the hips too high or too low when they deadlift, trying to get this kind of position, which is just not going to happen. Think of your hips as a crane, okay? So do I want a crane to be high or low relative to the load that I'm lifting? Of course, you know the answer to that. You've seen a crane before. The hips should be high relative. The smaller the angle at the knee we can have, but still be able to hoist or to get the bar moving off the floor, the better, really, because the smaller the knee angle, the stronger the joint position, and the stronger we're going to be. So we're trying to find the optimal position for us in our build. For me, somewhere around there is about right. Generally speaking, knees slightly over the bar, or shins close enough to vertical, we're in a good position. So from around that kind of position, then when we set our brace, we're not trying to set this kind of position I was talking about before. We're trying to get a hyperlordotic position. We're trying to have a strong brace of the abs. So a process we can go through, ass in the air, pull the slack out, hold the tension, use the tension to pull our hips down to our position, and then from there, just squeeze your abs like fuck and just push to the floor as hard as you can. Slack, squeeze your arse, squeeze your abs, pull yourself down to the bar, to the correct position, squeeze your abs as hard as you can, and just push to the floor as hard as you can. If we just do that, we focus on trying to get the slack, engage abs, engage the glutes, squeeze it hard as we can, get as hard a brace as we can, and then hold it onto the slack, keeping the arms as long as possible. Just pull your hips down into what feels like the strongest position, and you can find the strongest position by pulling yourself into different hip positions, feeling, well, that feels pretty good, push it into the floor as hard as you can, and then just letting the bar come up. By fucking around with that kind of positioning, you're going to find a better place to pull from. Realistically, what we're looking for from a sumo deadlift or any deadlift, is the least amount of range of motion around the joint, hips and knees, where we can successfully lift the bar over the distance we want. So for some people, that means we can go way further out wider, which shortens the distance a lot. It might work for our leverages, but means we're weaker off the floor, but means when we get started moving, we're stronger. And likewise, for some people, a closer stance will be better for them, based off their leverages, etc. But what we're looking for is we're looking for the hips to be in the strongest position, which is going to be where the ankles are around vertical, and we're looking to get a nice, strong, natural curvature of the spine. Small lower dodic posture, which if you're a muscular lifter, is going to make it look like you have a flat back and a sightward upward curvature of the spine. Goodbye.